All right. I for BYU fans out there, I love you. You know that I've had a really good time interacting with BYU fans. And I think BYU is one of the biggest brands in the Big 12. They could be one of the best teams moving forward in the next few years in the Big 12. But what is this squad's biggest nightmare in 2023? I did this for Texas Tech. I'm going to do it for a few of these teams that I think have defined nightmares. And I really believe that BYU's, after last season especially, is missing a bowl game. I think that there's a real shot. There's a real shot that BYU struggles coming into this conference. The reason why being that's what happens with pretty much every team that moves from an independent or a group of five into the Power Five. And you've lost Puka Nacua, who's one of the best players that I've seen live. So what will BYU do for me this year? BYU had a bad defense in 2022. And you could probably go to the defensive side and say, here's where BYU's nightmare is, that it's the defense being bad again. But I think it's missing a bowl game. Schedule-wise, BYU, look, listen to me, eye to eye here. You should beat Sam Houston State. You should beat Southern Utah. You've got a shot to beat Arkansas at Arkansas. You should beat Kansas. They have the worst defense maybe in the Big 12. BYU, you should beat Cincinnati. That out of the first 5 games, guys, I bought you maybe 4 wins, which is pretty close to bowl eligibility. Even if it's only 3 wins, you still got 7 games to go. TCU at TCU might be a loss. Texas Tech might be a loss. Texas might be a loss. But I'm going to gift you wins against West Virginia and Iowa State. Then Oklahoma at home is a tough game. They might win that game. Oklahoma State might be a loss. It is not the easiest schedule you could have gotten. I want to apologize. This was a bad welcome gift for you. But you've got to beat Sam Houston State, and you have to beat Southern Utah. That's 2 wins. That's 2 of the 6. That's a third of the wins you need to be bowl eligible. You will beat Cincinnati. That's 3. You will beat West Virginia. That's 4. You will beat Iowa State. That's 5. Now we have to find another win for BYU. The rest of the games, the rest of those 7 games, at Arkansas, tough. SEC team. At Kansas, tough. They have a bad defense, but their offense is so good. Texas on the road, that's really tough. Texas Tech at home, Joey McGuire's good. That's tough. Oklahoma at home, guys, that is tough. And then Oklahoma State and on the road to cap off the year. Those are 7 games that are not very easy. Kansas would usually be your cakewalk. You would usually say, oh, great. We have our guaranteed 5 wins against Sam Houston, Southern Utah, Cincinnati, Iowa State, and West Virginia. All we have to do is beat Kansas. We finish 6-6. This is not your mom and dad's, your grandparents' Kansas. This is a new Kansas. And I'm a little worried. As much as I like BYU, there's a realm where BYU finishes 6-6, and it's still a really successful season because this schedule is so tough. We didn't give you any breaks. I'm sorry about that, by the way. And I know Keaton Slovis could end up being an all Big 12 caliber quarterback, but the defense was so bad last year. And coming into the Big 12, coming into a Power 5 conference, the last thing you want is a bad defense. If your offense is shaky, but your defense is elite, that you're going to be fine. BYU's gone 11-1, 10-3, 8-5 the last 3 seasons. There has been really good competitive stuff out of BYU. But this schedule is tough. This team went 4-9 in 2017. Does that happen again this year? I don't think so. 4-9 seems dramatic. But as much as BYU could sneak up on some folks and win some games, the same could happen the opposite. Some folks could sneak up on BYU and win some games. I want to give you a reasonable scenario. Can you just follow along with me for a second? If you're a BYU fan or anybody, follow along. BYU beats Sam Houston, beats Southern Utah, beats Kansas, beats Cincinnati, beats Texas Tech because it's a home game, probably a night game at LaVell Edwards, beats West Virginia, beats Iowa State. You're staring down the barrel of 7 wins there. Then you beat Oklahoma at home, 8 wins. You got a game at Oklahoma State is tough. Say you win that game. I don't think Oklahoma State will be very good. You've got 8 or 9 wins here on an upside. Downside, you lose to Arkansas, you lose to Kansas, you lose to TCU, you lose to Texas Tech, you lose to Texas, you lose to Oklahoma, you lose to Oklahoma State. That's 5 and 7. And then if a team like Cincinnati or West Virginia or even Iowa State sneaks up on you, it can get tough. So BYU's worst nightmare is not being bowl eligible. Because if BYU is not bowl eligible, it doesn't send a very good message year one to the rest of the league that says BYU is a big brand and ready to play. And as good as I think this team can be, as good as I think Keaton Slovis and Kalani Sitake are, I'm worried about BYU faithful that this schedule is just too much for the Cougars in year one. No, it's not too much. Coming back tomorrow for more Locked On Big 12. It's the best show in America-ish sometimes. I'm going to have a guest on the rest of the week probably because I have some big guests. I have one huge guest next week. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep coming back every day. Keep doing this, Jazz. Keep tweeting at me and whatever. This has been and it always will be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Big 12.